Welcome back to Lenz Movie Review, episode number 104. This I'm reviewing the very first film of the Robocop series. Here's the cover for the main thing, and it is this disc I'm covering. Yeah, this is basically the Blu-ray copy of the series. If I can get to the proper thing. Here we go. Yep. That's it right there. Robocop. Released in 1987. Yep, 1987. Yeah. It stars Peter Weller as Robocop. Yep. Yeah, this is probably one of two things the guy is known for. The other, of course, being the host of Engineering Empire. hmm Yep. And the guy directed this. I believe he also directed, or at least he was. I think his. Let's see. I think he. Yeah, I think he also directed Minority Report. I think so. Yes. Paul Verhoeven. I believe. Yeah, he's the one who directed this film. Let's see. He also directed Total Recall, which came out a few years later. He also directed Showgirls. Yeah, I've seen Showgirls. This film also stars, believe it or not, the main villain of the film, which is Cloris Bredeker, played by Kurtwood Smith. Yeah. Those of you not familiar with this guy, especially from that '70s show, he is in fact the guy who plays the father of the main character of the show. Yep. Here, he's a crime boss. Yep. Film starts out with basically we have Alex Murphy arriving in the, I believe this is the West Precinct of the Detroit Police Department. Yeah, and fun fact about this particular film, it was actually shot in, this is why I think it's set in Detroit in the future. It's actually shot in Dallas. Yep, shot in Dallas. Yeah, anybody who's probably been to Detroit and sees the buildings looking at them, yeah, it's Dallas, not Detroit. Yep. And I think all three films were shot in Dallas. Yep. We have Nancy Allen who plays his partner in the movie and possible love interest. Yeah, Anne Lewis, great character, and and of course he's the one basically drives the car because he has to break a new partner in, despite the fact he's not exactly the rookie here. As for now, the film now he has him get transferred from South. As for why he got transferred, the film doesn't really explain why he was transferred. We also see a debut of the Sergeant in the movie, Sergeant Warren Reed, played by Robert DeCole. Yeah, he's actually the only guy, aside from Nancy Allen, who appears in all three films. Yep. Well, actually, there's one other guy. He's a executive appears, who actually owns the Detroit Police Department. Yep, the Detroit Police Department is owned by a corporation, Omni Consumer Products. Yep. Even has it right on the freaking, like, on the helmet itself. Yep. Oh, yeah, and I heard some really weird things involving the Robocop suit. Like, whenever he was sitting down, like, driving his car in the movie, he couldn't exactly wear the leg part because he was pretty much sitting in his underwear, and it was also difficult for him to move down stairs in the damn suit. Yep. So pretty much he's basically sitting in the car in his underwear. Yep. Oh, yeah. And I'll get to how he becomes Robocop. So he goes to catch a great gang of bank robbers, and they corner him. And now there's a different cut of the movie, which is particularly a little weird. Now, in I believe it is like one cut of this movie I saw where they corner Alex Murphy and they basically have him as partner. And oddly enough, unlike in normal situations like this, the female cop might be raped by the bank robbers, but no, she just knocked out and just they do nothing to her, which is quite surprising. That's usually what people might think of, like a female cop by herself and surrounded by a group of bank robbers might be getting raped. Nope. Also, they had this scene where they go through like the locker room. You see like a woman topless while putting on like body armor. You all see a guy's butt. It's an R-rated movie, so they can go where they want with it. Yep. So they confront him at an abandoned, I think it's like a steel factory, and this factory, believe it or not, also appears in the third film as well. It does not appear in the second film, but I believe it does appear in the second film, but it's used by somebody else. Yeah, it's like, okay, this factory is used first by the bank robber in this movie, and the second film is used by the villains in the next film, and third film is used by a group of good guys. I'll talk about that when I get to Robocop 3. hmm So one cut in the movie, basically, when he gets shot, he gets shot where he gets his hand blown off. In another cut in the movie, he gets his whole arm blown off, and he gets shot. And then they recover him, and then they transform into freaking RoboCop. Yep. So they just basically made Rick RoboCop. At least I heard in the remake they actually did very graphically in the remake, which I'm not really sure why. And then they had this reveal, which is a really cool reveal. It's like they hear like the stomping, and they have him also show off his huge gun. Like, oh my gosh, this thing is like freaking huge. It's a big gun. The barrel is basically the size of a freaking triangle. It's about this big, and he also flips it around, puts it in his holster. Yeah, believe it or not, it actually is shown in the movie. The reason why he does that is because his son was a big fan of a Western hero, and he asked his dad to do that. So, and his son asked him to do that. So he figured, though, why not? And it's a very common thing for Robocop to just flip the gun around and just put it back in the holster. Though, unlike normal holsters, basically up in the waist, his holster is actually in his thigh. Yeah, in the thigh of his robot suit. So then eventually he needs a car. He's like, okay. Sarge's like, and he tosses him his keys, and he catches him. Now, fun fact, now I found this behind the scenes. The keys kept slipping. They had to shoot this particular take, the shot like 10 times, because the thing kept slipping off the damn glove he was wearing. So he just basically got in the car without his actual partner, and he went out because he wanted to go out anyways to catch some robbers. And he catches up pretty easily. Has a pretty good public debut. He also has 3 executives. There was actually 4 of them. Like, protect the public trust, above the law, and protect the innocent. The 4th one, don't harm an OCP employee. Yeah, this comes to play like in the following 2 films as well. Like, it plays a part in this film and in the 3rd film as well, though not very much in the 4th film. It does play a part in the 4th film, but not like it does play a big role like it is in this film. We also have this guy named Dick. Yes, Dick. Dick Jones, played by Rodney Cox. Yeah, he's actually the main villain in this movie, along with Clarence. He actually worked together with him. Clarence is kind of like his henchman in the way. Yeah, Rodney Cox. Wow, this guy. Aside from this movie, the only era films I've seen this guy in was the first 2 Beverly Hills Cop movies, and he also popped up for like 2 episodes of Star Trek Next Generation, Training Command, really good 2-parter. He played Admiral Jellicoe, he was Captain Jellicoe at the point. Currently in the novels, he's Admiral. Yeah, and they show all the corporate side. This is, of course, very 80s style corporate. Like, everyone's in their nice fancy suits. We get into like the executive bathroom. And like one guy who actually gets killed off in the movie. What's his name here? His name is I'm trying to find the guy's name. I think it's not Nash. I think it's Bob Morton. Yes, the guy who pretty much designed the program for the guy who basically was the executive in charge of the program. Yeah, apparently, yeah, when he decided to poke fun at Dick Jones, like this is a funny little scene. Like they're all in this bathroom. He just says something bad about him, and then like the whole bathroom just evacuates. because they dared to insult Dick Jones. And some of them basically didn't bother to wash their hands. Yep. And apparently, Rodney Cock, basically Dick's like, yeah, I'll basically take some of the insults perfectly fine. Yeah, especially since, well, I used to call the old man that. Yeah, the thing about the old man, that's what he's credited as. He's never given a name. He's the chairman of the OCP. Here's the thing about this guy. He only appears in this film and the following film, but he doesn't appear in the third film. It's never mentioned exactly what happened to him. Yeah, in case you wonder what his real name is, the series never actually reveals his real name. No, it never does. I'm like, okay, is there a reason why? Like, he's always referred to as simply the old man, and he's basically given a lot of respect in the series. hmm But yeah, and of course, Dick Jones wants to build, like, his dream is build Delta City. And before they developed the Robocop program, they had his Ed 209, that's what they call this thing, this big hulking robot, which apparently has glitches. Yeah, it actually, like, was supposed to act like a replacement for the police force, and like an executive had a gun in his hand, so he just shot, like, puts the gun, like, put the gun down, and all of a sudden it was a glitch, and then the guy basically is like mowed down by bullets in the middle of this meeting boardroom, and there's blood all over the place. Like, oh, this is just a minor glitch, and of course, one of the people are like, really, you call this a minor glitch? Yeah, I don't believe you. Yep. So yeah, the Ed 209 does show up a little bit later. Yeah, and apparently this thing also cannot walk upstairs. Yeah, this thing does show up in the following two films. Very minor role for this particular thing, though it does play a sort of a role in the second film. Very minor in the third film. I know I'm kind of jumping around when it comes to this particular film. Let's see. We have Robocop start going after. Eventually, he has a dream where he's basically recharging in his room. He basically just goes out, takes his car out, and just goes after people basically who killed him. He also briefly visits his house, which apparently is up for sale. Yeah, apparently his wife actually moved away after he died. Yep. Oh, in case you're wondering, his family after this film is never mentioned in the following two films. Yes, no idea why, but there's not. Also, how Robocop gets access to the police database is quite ingenious. There's a spike in his freaking hand that he also uses later as an actual weapon. hmm So he's like, he just plugs himself in, looks at the information he wants to look for, and goes out hunting criminals. He kills a good number of them. He confronts one at a freaking nightclub of all places. Shoots him. Like, he basically shoots him. But when he confronts Clarence, he just takes him to custody and just basically brings him in. Like, and of course, the guy's also wanted for killing multiple cops. At least about 5 of them. Yep. And there's also talk in this movie basically of cops going on strike because their retirement was cut and their salaries were basically cut. They got reduced salary. Yep, and this plays a role in the second film. It does not play a role in the third film. The whole thing of the cops going on strike, yeah, that storyline is dropped by the time the third film came out. And we'll talk about who wrote the scripts for the second and third films. Yep. So yeah. So apparently the precinct is later abandoned because the whole police force is on strike because of their pay. Yep. So let's see what else. Hmm. Yeah. And also the reason why they're going on strike because they're not getting paid enough basically to die in the line of duty. Yep. Sergeant Reed is probably the only one who actually is against the strike. Yeah, he's the only one who is against it. Yep. So he brings in Clarence, and of course Reed's like, "What's the charge?" He's a cop killer. I'm sure Reed's like, "Okay, so he's a murderer." And what does Clarence do? Of course, this is after that Robocop had basically beaten the crap out of him. He says, and he spits on the book. He says, I want my phone call." Though he says the F word too. And who is he called? Dick Jones. Yep, and Dick Jones gets him out of jail. And of course, well, apparently it's revealed when the city is being demolished and rebuilt as Delta City, people were living in like these special homes for about 6 months. And apparently he used a way to get like he found a way to use like actual prostitution. So he's given like an actual gun and a car. Like he wants like futuristic weapons. Like he knows OCP because multiple things, also has military contracts. He wants guns and cars. So he pretty much like take now one of the basically as a motorcycle. He actually survives being attacked by Robocop. Everybody else is not really much lucky. The car, one guy drives is blown up by Clarence. Of course, Robocop becomes playing in the movie. Yep. Eventually, Robocop does go after him. After, well, he'd been put on the run. So they hide out in a particular factory. Well, I think maybe say a probably different area. He's basically fed. Apparently, he eats. He does eat. He eats baby food. Yep, baby food. He also apparently being shot doesn't ruin his target practice. Also, when he takes off his helmet, he looks like this. Yep, that's what he looks like. Yeah, it's explained they kind of grafted the face on like a robot skull. Yeah, that's how they pretty much explain it. And this is Ed 209. Yeah, that's what they call this thing. Yeah, and here's the thing about the Robocop suit. It's silver in the first film, and then the following film was like a dark blue, and then by the third film it's back being silver. No explanation of why the suit armor changed color, but it did. hmm Yep. So eventually Robocop goes after these people and then confront them at a fictive factory. So, of course, Clarence himself is killed by Robocop by being stabbed in the freaking neck. Nash himself is killed by, believe it or not, and Lewis with a freaking bazooka, which apparently that was one of the weapons that it was one of those combo weapon things that Clarence got from Dick Jones. So it's like, I work for Dick Jones. Yeah, and of course Clarence brings it up, and then he goes after Dick Jones. This is of course after he arrests Clarence, and then he goes after Dick Jones. He's about to arrest him, and he shuts down because of program. So he later on confronts him, like in the freaking boardroom, and he takes it easy. Of course, his helmet, he doesn't have his visor on. And so he tries to aim his gun at Dick Jones. So he takes the CEO hostage, and he says, "I can't shoot him." He's like, "Dick Jones, you're fired." He says, "Thank you." Shoots him, and the guy falls right out the window. And of course, it's a dummy, basically. And then the guy says, like, "What's your name?" "Murphy." Yep, and that's the film. The first film overall is really good. Despite the fact it's pretty violent for a movie, but it's really good. It's kind of hilarious. Got some good lines. Love the special effects. Still holds up, and the film only came out like 32 years ago. Yep. Overall, really good film. I'll give this film a 9 out of 10. It's a fantastic film. Next review, which will be tomorrow, for episode 105, I'll cover the second Robocop film. Yep. Along with, finally, I'm going to cover this particular, I have another video for this series, Toshiba Reservoir Chronicle. Okay? See you next view. Bye.